getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
I can't count the times a race has been ruined by an AI car. The default iRacing AI drives like you are not even there much of the time. If you're like me, you want AI that is fun to race, not a demolition derby. I have spent a ton of time adjusting these AI rosters to make them as realistic as possible. The D-Nut Stuff adjusted AI rosters are more like racing a real person. The adjusted AI rosters will drive much, much cleaner than the default settings. Check them out. You won't regret it.
Is the brake on your new pedal set not meeting your expectations? If so, let D-Nut Stuff transform your braking experience. D-Nut Stuff has brake mods for Thrustmaster TLCMs, Husingveld Sprints, Mosa SRPs, Fanatec CSL Elite V1 and V2s, SimJack Pros, and UT sets. We are always working on adding new pedal sets and more, so check back often. Does your feet hurt after a session of sim racing? Are you tired of the distraction from sore heels? If so, D-Nut Stuff has the solution for you. Our heel pads add support and comfort for your feet, so those long races are no longer painful. We can make a heel pad for pretty much any pedal set and even add your custom logo. So get one today. You won't regret it. Is the brake on the new...
Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the American Muscle Series. This is round number 10 of this season, coming to you tonight from Silverstone. My name is Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Joshua Wilkie is our producer for tonight's broadcast. Well, Charles, for this round of the championship, the penultimate round of the championship, we head off to Silverstone, which usually wouldn't be too odd of a prospect, but this is going to be strange. We're running on the 2008 scan of this track, a version of this track that no longer is in existence. We don't even have the Grand Prix pit building that we're used to in real life anymore. It's just an empty field, as you can see right there from this onboard. So this is going to be a bit of a venture off into the unknown. It may be a historic track. It may be one that many of us have probably seen a lot of historic racing footage of. However, here on iRacing, this place really is not touched even with the 10-foot pole.
Yeah, it really isn't. I can't recall the last time I've seen this track come up on the iRacing calendar or on some leagues that I'm associated with. So yeah, it's going to be a throwback night tonight, and it's well, the good thing is it's a little more open than the newer layout. Obviously, they've made some changes to new Silverstone to maybe slow the cars down through some of the corners. Which obviously would be a big detriment to these Ford Mustangs. But tonight, fairly open layout here on some the old circuit with some changes that we'll have to identify as we go. But yes, should be in for a good race. There's obviously some things that are still part of this track that are part of the new track. So it's just a little bit of a different configuration, and it should make for some an interesting challenge for our drivers tonight.
Yeah, most of this track is pretty much the exact same of what we have to deal with now, but the surroundings do make it a little bit odd. Those optics are everything whenever you are behind the wheel. If you can't have those same visual cues and visual focal points, it just makes it feel like you're running on a completely different racetrack. Currently in the midst of qualifying right now, this 15-minute session that these drivers have 3 laps to try and get the job done here. I'm running on board with Mark Cohn, your current top qualifier at the moment in the Challenger class. He's still at P3 at the moment overall in this field, with your top 2 of Taylor Ballon off the back of 2 straight wins here in this season. Only 7 thousandths of a second in front of Neil Kemp. That's a trouble, for lack of a better term, Charles, heading to a track that is one that these drivers don't have too much experience on. The gaps can be minuscule.
They can indeed. Is kind of tightens the field up a little bit, as it's more dependent, less on track knowledge than it is on just driver skill. So you see some very, very tight gaps between some of our drivers there, and Mark Cohn obviously has put the work in, because he's sitting up there in P3 and he's only about 12 hundredths of a second off of pole as a Challenger driver. So that's a pretty good lap time that he's got going there. We'll see if any of the other pros can get up there and challenge for maybe the overall pole. Just as I say that, Andrew Bailey moves up to P1.
Oh, Mark Cohn jumping his way up into second. Looking at a very tantalizing prospect for these non-pro racers to maybe contend, not necessarily for the crown, but we may see them contend for an overall podium. Only time will tell. Looking throughout this season up to this point, it has been every single race, every single round won by a pro driver, but the Challenger racers have gotten some very good results. 3 podiums at the moment for your challenge class competitors. Mark Cohn was able to bring it home in P3 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the third round of the season, the fourth race of this campaign here in season 10 of AMS. And then there are back-to-back podiums at Miami and Bathurst for Matt Thompson in that challenger category as well. So really seeing some pace be shown by these drivers week in and week out. So keep an eye on them as we go throughout the festivities here tonight. Maybe a very good shot to get one done as well. And just for anyone tuning into this series for the very first time, confused by what we're talking about, we have three classes here in this series. Pro, what that you can see on our graphics, is colored with that sort of dark, like army green shade. You've also got the Challenger class marked off with the blue, and the AM category marked off with the red. You can see that on our graphics on the left-hand side of the timing tower, as well as in the top middle of your screen, where you can see your current class leaders. At the bottom, you can see the times right now. Neil Kemp currently purple in Sector 2, and green in the following two sectors after that. So we may have to take an eye on this number 99 car as he heads his way off through one of the other changes made to this track. This is that little shortcut section, avoiding the infield that was not built at this point in time. This is off through Luffield, turn number 16 on this layout before Woodcut, the final turn on this old 2008 version of Silverstone. Gets a little bit wiggly as he headed his way out of the turn and heads his way towards a line. Will it be the pole for the driver of the number 99 car? Looked good in the times, jumps up to third, but not enough. Ahead of Fabian Zweyer, but not on your front row.
Yeah, he just that little section he was going through as we were on board with him through Luffield and Woodcut, just kind of screwed that lap up. He was yellow in that final sector, couldn't get the lap finished off, and so yeah, this is one of those sections that you see that's very familiar. Obviously, Luffield into Woodcut that runs down into Cops, which will start our lap tonight, as opposed to it somewhere in the middle. It's just a little bit of a different, as you said, a little different sightings for these drivers. So a lot of the track looks familiar, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, there's a walkover bridge, and you're thinking, well, where did that come from? So so it's one of those things that you'll have to just adjust. I think at this point in time, with an hour of practice for these drivers before qualifying, I think they've got everything pretty much under control. They've at least got the track memorized, and are starting to set some quicker times as now Ballant moves back up to pole over Zweyer, and Belling, Kemp, and Schnackle your top five. So Brian Kennedy has now moved up into that pole position for the Challenger class, running in P6 with a just basically another 1200 or so over Cone. And then Andy Bell sitting down there in 14th is leading the AM class.
Yeah, and Andy Bell has been on fire as of recent in that AM category. 3 straight wins, including one week ago at Willow Springs. Got as well in the doubleheader at Summit Point, although his main rival in that category of Joe Cicchetti was absent for that race. But Cicchetti has kind of been the man of the hour here this season. 6 wins in that AM category. Andy Bell, the closest to his tally at the aforementioned 5, was able to grab back-to-back wins, splitting Cicchetti's dominance at Homestead and Miami. Yeah, I was waiting for that discrepancy to come up. Homestead, the NASCAR venue, and Miami, the F1 venue. As we follow David Fench head his way across the stripe of the number 42 car, currently qualified in 17th, but that looked like a good lap time from him, and it is P8 right in the dying breath of this session. I had a good feeling about that lap time, and that good feeling was justified.
Yeah, great run there by Finch to move up. As we're in the final couple of minutes here of qualifying, see Aaron Bray down there in 23rd with a black flag. So obviously a little boo-boo somewhere. As we're just still carrying on here, Kennedy into pit lane. So I think that's going to be qualifying done with 2:06 lap time. Yeah, if he gets back out, maybe he can get one more lap. But I think this is closed qualifying or solo qualifying. So 15 minutes is going to be the end of this today, and so I don't think he's going to be able to get another lap in.
And I'm not sure how many other racers will be able to set another lap time on the board, seeing Ed Sancinelli at their series admin. He's currently qualified in 21st at the moment. He's got a slow down penalty, and he's going to pull it over to the side of the road and call it a night here in qualifying. Still have that race coming up here, folks. A 40-minute barn burner to look ahead to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But that won't do it for the action here tonight. Coming up after this broadcast is done, we'll be able to present to you the next round of the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Championship. Always love to see those F4s round off our coverage here on Tuesday nights on SMB. And of course, next time out, we'll be running at the Nordschleife for the season finale. We'll be crowning champions here in Season 10 of the American Muscle Series. Unfortunately, not able to present the points for you at the moment here tonight, but we will keep you informed about all the championship permutations come time for the next round of the championship here on SMB. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action, because trust me, folks, this is going to be a stunner of an end to what has been a very exciting campaign of American Muscle Series action. Top class drivers, older cars on an older track. This feels like a match made in heaven tonight.
Yeah, it really does. This is going to be fun, and we getting qualifying rounded out here. Yeah, it's going to be a fun race tonight, and obviously big doings next week for the season finale at the Nordschleife, and that's going to be a challenge of epic proportions. And it doesn't matter what car you're in. That is, as I've always said, that is the truest test of a driver's skill, is to run laps there at the Nordschleife. So we'll see how that's going to get on after we finish up this week and get prepared for the finale next week. So we see Chuck Labano over there doing a little horticultural work, getting that car back on the track, and he'll be wrapping his qualifying lap up here as he's going to be done for qualifying. So he'll just run a few more corners and just make sure that he can, just get a little more familiar with this track before we get ready to start going racing.
Yeah, and visiting the confines of this old version of Silverstone. It hasn't been in use since about 2011. This scan was done in 2008, but it is still usable on iRacing. It is a blast from the past, still true to the original layout, the original base layout, I should say, that Silverstone first coined way back in the 40s, post-World War II. Of course, now they have the infield section that goes on shortly before what is now turn number 11 that Chuck Labano would be heading up to right now. This is what's now called the Hamilton straightaway on the current version of Silverstone, and that entire infield that at this point in time when this scan was done was still remnants of the old air base and pretty much just spectator areas. That is now a purpose-built racetrack, and this area is it's pretty much spectator area. Apart from here, the Brooklands and Priory section of the likes of 13, 14, and 15, which is now actually a kart track on the inside of this place, and a pretty prolific one at that. I've heard some good feelings and good thoughts on that track, and people's first opinions driving around it. You think of British motor racing, you think of Silverstone. There's a very good reason why the BRDC is based here at Silverstone in real life. There's a reason why Aston Martin is based around here, albeit we may not want to talk about them too much. But let's take a look at our starting grid here for round number 11 of the season. Taylor Ballant is going to start from the pole. Fabian Zweyer, the German, will join him on the front row. Andrew Belling will start in third. Next to him will be Neil Kemp. Row number 3 will be Jeff Schnackle. He'll be alongside David Fench. Brian Kennedy will grab the challenger pole position, and he'll be alongside David Moore. Completing your top 10 will be Mark Cohn next to Chuck Labano.
Yeah, Charlie Hosey is going to start in P11. Matt Thompson outside of row 6 in 12th. Jay Bast will start in 13th. Freddie Weaver starts in 14th. Andy Bell is going to take your AM pole and start 15th alongside Levi Powell in 16th. Joe Cicchetti starting in 17th. Michael Brennan 18th. Ron Wolf starts in 19th. And Mike Nickum of D-Nut Stuff starts in P20.
And then looking through the rest of the pack, Edgar Sancinelli, other series admin, will start in 21st. Brandon Smith will be in P22. Aaron Gray will be in 23rd. Brandon Carr will be alongside him in 24th place. Looking right behind them, it will be Jeff Andres starting this race in 25th. He'll be alongside Scott Brooks. Andy Kosick will be in P27 next to Jeff Besnard. And then it's Colin E. Olson starting this race in 29th next to David Blair, completing your top 30. Tom Wentz will be in 31st from TW3 Paints, our friends here at SMB. John Casey will be in 32nd. Merle Eschman will be in 33rd with David Fernandez starting this race in 34th place. And that will round out your field here for round number 11 of the American Muscle Series. Everybody looking to grab the green flag in a few moments' time. David Fernandez yet to line up on that starting grid. Only a few moments left for these racers to line up. I believe iRacing will force the start. The revs are going to build in that short little run down into Cops. This is going to be a trouble point for these racers, waiting for that green flag to come out, which it has now. The drivers are on their way, and we're racing here at Silverstone. Pretty good start from your entire field as they're already fanning out 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide, a little bit farther in the back. Dream start from your pole man. He's going to lead him off into turn number 1, as actually it's Fabian Zweyer to Ballant, sliding around, heading his way out of the opening corner, and he's going to get a turn back around. Disaster breaking out for him. I misspoke there. It was not your pole man getting off to a great start. If not, it was him getting off to a terrible start. He slid all the way back to the back of the pack, got overtaken by Fabian Zweyer into turn number 1, and now he's at the rear.
Yeah, it was a bad start for the driver up there that was on the front row, as he just got 3 wide, just didn't get off the line at all. They took it 3 wide into Cops, and he was on the inside, got into the grass and just lost the rear of the car. The car that was on the outside as well kind of ran wide. So 2 cars of that 3 did not quite make it through that corner. But no contact that I saw is from anybody. Ballant obviously down to P33. He's going to have quite a long charge up through the field here as we're just about to complete lap 1.
Yeah, and riding on board with Andrew Belling, who I think got a fantastic view of all of that drama as they headed their way off through turn number 1. Very lucky that nobody clobbered into the side of Balant's stricken number 21 as he headed his way out of the first turn. Thankfully, he's still running out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately for him, he's all the way down in 32nd as that's David Finch around. That was him heading out of Abbey, the Abbey chicane of 11 and 12. He's going to get turned back around. Will he actually? No, he is still dropping down the running order. There he is. I wonder if he maybe hit that inside wall. Short confines as they headed their way up into that bridge section. Unfortunately for him, he's going to find the boundaries, find the limits of his car for sure, and drop down. Let's take a look at this replay here of Finch in the number 42. We follow him from the aerial view. Just clipped a little bit of that inside curb there, Charles, and around he goes.
Yeah, and a little tap of the wall, nothing serious. But yeah, just took the corner wrong and got in on the curb and the grass on the inside, and looped the car around. So he's gonna have a mate back there with Ballant. Those guys are gonna try and work their way back up through the field, as he basically just got caught out and is gonna have to go to the back and work his way back forward again. Ballant already up to P30, and Finch has dropped down to P32. So Taylor Ballant has already started his forward momentum, but we've got plenty of time, obviously, with only about 3 minutes gone in the race. He's got plenty of time to make up those spots, but he got some very fast race cars that he's going to try and track down.
Yes, as we continue to see the racing get hot out there on the racetrack, let's start by taking a look at a replay of the drama that got this race up and rolling. We'll ride on board with Taylor Ballant of the start and just listen in. Did not get off to a good start by any means compared to Fabian Zweyer, who just had his number up off the stripe. It was such a dominant lead. I didn't think that was him, but look at that 21 car getting chewed up and spat at. He ran over the inside, and I think that's what did it for him. The curb heading through there. You know, Charles, whenever we do a broadcast at Silverstone, we don't usually talk about the curbs being too deadly, even in the realm of open wheel, but right now, this classic version, the curbs at least, they're proven to be a bit of a menace.
They are indeed. You know, this is a 2008 scan of this track, so the curbing, I'm sure, quite a bit different, but you can just see just way too deep there on the inside. He's off in the grass, and I think that's more just the difference in friction between the grass and the racing surface, and just not anything that those cold tires on the rear are going to be able to hang on to that. and around he goes. Just very fortunate that all those drivers were able to get through, and he came out of that unscathed, albeit at the back of the pack.
Oh, as we can see a bit of a sideways wiggle there from Jeff Schnackles. He was going side by side with Andrew Berling. This is a fantastic perspective here from Mark Cohn. We run on board with him, running a P5 right now in that touching Greg Biffle tribute scheme right now, that 116. Running in fifth at the moment, your leader currently in the challenger category. However, Ryan Kennedy is right behind him as Schnackle runs wide, heading out of cups. He holds on to P3 and avoids a slowdown there. Looks like the track limits may be a little bit touch and go as you head your way around parts of this racetrack, but for Schnackle, he's going to use that to his benefit. Holds on to P3 for now. Still within arm's reach of your top two. However, they are starting to break away ever so slightly. Zweyer and Neil Kemp comprising of your top two spots, only a half a second apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Only a half second apart there as Schnackle runs very, very wide through Cops, and I think Bailey kind of cut him some slack. Could have just basically forced him to fall back by taking that outside line out of the corner and just not giving him a chance to get back on the track. But gave him a break and lets him rejoin safely and with full speed and able to hang on to his position.
Yeah, so it's been a tough start to manage for these drivers, but they've been able to cope with the challenge somewhat well. We've seen a couple of mistakes. May have just seen one more. Unfortunately, I may have jinxed John Casey. He's dropping down the running order like an anvil pushed out of a helicopter with a meatball flag as well. So I suspect that he probably hit something with the same velocity that that anvil would hit the ground with. And here it is, heading his way. Oh, already pulling over to the side of the road. That is very bizarre. I gotta wonder whether that incident took place beforehand there. Let's...
Oh, maybe a money shift. Maybe he just downshifted for the corner and blew the engine.
Oh.
And just coasted to a stop.
Yeah, that engine sounds poor. That does sound very, very sad. Sour, I think, would probably be the best way to describe that note. I was thinking either that or maybe fuel issues, potentially. Maybe he didn't put race fuel in that, but I don't think running out of fuel would trigger a meatball flag. So
no.
We'll have to look for further word on that, do a little bit of investigative journalism, hit the books, trying to figure out what the deal was there. For now, though, we've got some good battling all throughout this field. Drivers in the top pack, not the only ones squabbling. We follow Edgar Sancinelli going side by side with Brandon Smith, heading off in through the Maggots and Beckett's, and that's going to be a swapperoo. Brandon Smith holding on to P10 there in that 197 car. But Charles, this has been a very competitive start to this race.
Yeah, it really has. As we're looking at Brandon Carl here running 22nd, sliding that car around the corner. You could just see he was struggling a little bit there. Maybe he took a little bit too much speed in and had to kind of lift a little bit. That allowed Sancinelli on the inside there to make that run in the 104. No, that's Jeff Andrus. I'm sorry. We'll correct that. So not a nice little battle side by side through a couple of these corners as Carl gets it back up to speed. But you see, obviously, very competitive all the way through the field. So everybody that's got a partner to fight with, that's exactly what they're doing. They're racing hard here in the early going of this race, and so far, just once again, only the one DNF. We did have a DNS. I think David Fernandez did not take the start of the race, so we're down to 32 cars on track.
Yeah, so outside of those two drivers to fall out, it has been a smooth start. I'm still looking to try and figure out what the deal was for John Casey. I just listened in. It was a money shift heading down the hangar straightaway off in a stow. I could hear that unmistakable sound of metal snapping, knowing fully well that is a blown motor here on iRacing. As Ballant gonna get a move put on Brandon Carl. That's for 22nd. The comeback fight continues for the driver of the number 21 car. Now Brandon Carl gonna feel some pressure from Jeff Andres. He's right there to pounce, as Andy Kosick is also right there as well. A little train of cars that we've got. Carl, Andres, Kosick, and Scott Brooks. He's only about 8/10 of a second behind, but we have seen the tides of battles change so quickly that an 8/10 of a second gap is by no means insurmountable.
Yeah, it just as you see the cars running wide there through Cops Corner, you can just see that there's still a little bit of learning going on out there on the track from some of these drivers, especially further back in the field with the AMs, and you see them just maybe struggle making some small mistakes here and there. Nothing overly detrimental. It's hurting their lap times. It's keeping the pressure on from the cars behind. And they're doing a good job of absorbing the pressure and moving forward. But you can see that it is keeping some battles alive, maybe a little bit longer than you would normally expect. I'm sitting here riding along with Mike Nickham in one of my favorites out there, the STP liveried car. The boss there at D-Nut Stuff is having a pretty good run, up in 19th. He's up a position, and it's like we saw a car there cut the corner. And that's probably going to be a slowdown. It is indeed for Brandon Smith there, as just cuts the corner of the chicane and is going to have to fall back a little bit and give some of that time up. And that's going to take the pressure off of Nickham there for a couple of laps.
Yeah, that was kind of odd there with Brandon Smith. I wonder if he maybe starts to lose it heading down to the braking zone and just decided to, take the high road and go for a trip off the track. As either way you slice it, we continue to follow on. And here's a driver that had a mistake heading off through this part of the racetrack earlier on. Is David Fench. We ride on board with him in the number 42 car, running in 28th. He's got Jeff Bernard right up in front of him and keeping an eye on that 4/10 of a second gap as that 248 car right up in front of him, getting a little bit wiggly. This is a pro and an AM fight. Fench the pro, Bernard the AM, fighting for 27th at the moment. And there's a lot riding on this battle in terms of Fench's climb through the field. As you can see, another sideways wiggle for the Aussie, heading his way out of turn number 16, heading out of left field. He's going to have to cling on to that spot for dear life as Fench going to try and sweep around the outside, heading down the pit stretch into turn number 1. And that's going to be a very easy call there for Jeff Bernard. He's going to say, nope, no, I don't want to go side-by-side through there. I know Verstappen and Hamilton did that back in 2021, and we're off the air.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very smart move. It's not the preferred line on the inside there. And he saw the pro car of Finch coming forward and said, you know what, this is not my fight. Let me just let him have the spot and let him go on and challenge the next guy. And I'll just keep the rest of the cars behind me as we go here, as we're on board with Zweyer. As you can see, not much change up in the front. Those like a 5-car fight, 6-car fight. Ooh, a little wiggle there from Snackle running in third as we're looking back on his car. You saw the car just kind of over-rotate a little bit. He was able to get it caught, and that cost him a little bit of time, so that's kind of let the top two separate just a bit as they're working their way around in through this section of track. And the thing about new tracks is you don't always know names, but this is obviously a bridge, so it's helpful that you can see that. But you see there's like 6-7 cars up here at the front of this field. And so nothing set in stone as of yet as we're here. And I'm assuming, and I didn't ask this before the broadcast, we'll talk about it during the broadcast, is I'm assuming there's a pit stop that's going to be involved in tonight's race. Pit stop race indeed. Thanks very much, Josh, for calling that out for me. So we will be seeing pit stops during the course of the race. And as you know, Ryan, anytime you've got a pit stop involved, that kind of shakes things up significantly from fuel strategies and things like that, when people are going to come into the pits, and how much time they gain or lose during that process.
40-minute long races with pit stops. I'm going to go out on a limb, Charles, and say that we have some experience covering a combination very similar to that over on the Weekend Warriors for the past handful of years for the both of us. So I think we know how those usually go, but these are very, very different cars. I think the closest comparison between these between the Weekend Warriors and this series is the Spec Racer Fords. But a Spec Racer Ford and Mustang are about as far removed in the Ford realm as you could possibly get. Side-by-side racing between Mark Cohn and Andrew Belling. So that's going to go on for fourth right now. Cohn, your current Challenge Class leader, trying to jump his way up the field, but in the process of that, he's going to get jumped ahead of by David Moore. And Mark Cohn maybe going to feel some pressure as well soon for his current class lead, as Brian Kennedy and Charlie Hosey got to be right there.
Yeah, absolutely. You see now with the timing tower up, we've got a nice nine-car group up front. So all the way down to Jay Bass running in ninth, but you've got a pretty serious battle there for the Challenger class with the top three essentially nose to tail, and looks like they're trying to swap some positions. But hey, look at this. Andy Bell up 4 spots up to P11. So he's having himself quite the night. The leader here during the race is already up and challenging Lobano there, maybe to jump into the top 10.
Yeah, and Bell, he's been on a fantastic run of form as of recent. I talked about his now 3-race streak of wins. But in the AM category, a result like this has been, I wouldn't say hard to come by, but they have not been the most common occurrence for these drivers here in this series. I've seen some pit stops go down already. That's Ron Wolf and Levi Powell coming down pit lane. So one driver in the challenge class, Levi Powell, your race winner in the challenge class, in fact, last time out at Willow Springs, and Ron Wolf coming into the pits as well from your AM category. So fascinating to see 2 pit stop breakaways. We're already 15 and a half minutes into this race, coming up to that halfway mark, so I think it stands to reason as to why that may be a good call, but still fascinated by this nonetheless.
Yeah, just a little undercut attempt here by these 2 drivers. They're going to be back out, and they're going to be basically out in clear traffic, as we also see Tom Wendt coming into the pits. So he's on his way in now and having his pit stop done. So nice clean air, as they've got about a 10-second gap up to the next car. Colin Olson running in 28. So they're going to be able to set their pace and run some very clean laps here. They're going to obviously lose. They're going to lose a little bit of draft, but they're going to be able to work together to generate their own. They just won't have the draft of the big pack that they were they're previously running in. So they'll have a chance to essentially make up some time, maybe pick up a couple of spots on the pit cycle.
Yeah, as you can see on our graphics right now, most of the field yet to come into the pits. You can see right there on the inside of those 2 little numbers on the edge, that's the pit stop time, the time stopped in the pit box, and the other one is, the pit lane time from cone to cone. So we'll have to keep an eye on that throughout this race, as everybody gonna have to come down pit lane at some point, just have enough gas to make it through to the end. And how you pull that off is going to be huge, especially here around Silverstone, with a pit entry and exit that drivers are not going to be used to at all. We'll keep tabs on that throughout this race. But as these drivers look for a pit stop out there on the racetrack, we'll let you know that if you're feeling hungry, you should probably go for a pit stop at Chiba Hut. Look, we've all been there. You're staring at a menu of sad, cold corporate sandwiches and thinking, there's got to be something better than this. At Chiba Hut, we've been flipping the bird to the status quo since 1998. We're not just making sandwiches, we're curing the munchies with the dankest toasted subs on the planet. From our signature White Widow to the Cali Mist, every sub is homegrown, toasted to perfection, and served up in a joint where you can actually relax. Need to kill that cotton mouth? We've got local craft beers on tap and plenty of Kool-Aid to keep you hydrated. Whether you're stopping in or we're flying it to your door, we've got exactly what you need to stay stoked. Chiba Hut Toasted Subs. Swing by our shop in your area or order online. Chiba Hut, toasted since 98. Still got the pit stops going on with 18 minutes down, 22 left to go here in round number 11 of the American Muscle Series. Keeping an eye on just the 2 latest racers to come into the pits in the form of Michael Brennan, now on pit exit, and Brandon Carl yet to exit the pit lane himself.
Yeah, so get the first 2 guys to come in and kind of break the seal, and so now we got others following suit. And so it'll be a trickle, and then probably my guess is it'll be just a big rush at the end, like the rush you would see when Chiba Hut opens its doors for business. Everybody's piling in to try and get them a sandwich, and these guys are piling into the pits to try and get a little bit of fuel to end this race as we speaking of piling into everybody piling into the corner seemingly at one time, as we're on board with Chuck Labano on the inside there behind Jay Bass, who's moved up to P8. Labano still running in P9. Kennedy has dropped down to P10. And the battle continues there, as you see, just very, very tight confines here in some of these corners, as these guys are really, really starting to struggle a little bit. The tires, obviously, 20 minutes of use. The Silverstone, to me, feels like one of those tires or one of those tracks where you're gonna really rely on those rears, and they're gonna bite you maybe if you. Excuse me as I sneeze into my microphone. Hopefully I muted and everybody missed that. So as I feel like the rear tires maybe go a little bit more than what we would normally see here in this series, just because of the extreme torque that you're going to use on some of these corners here. As we're looking at this, I think Maggots and Beckett's obviously one of the fastest little S sections in racing, and it's going to put a little bit of strain on those rears. So we'll have to see how that stacks up with our drivers here tonight, as we see a couple more cars in the pits. That is Mike Nickum and Frito Sancinelli getting their stops done, and they're out or on the way out. And so continuing on, as we're more and more, looks like everybody, maybe with the exception of Mike Nickum, maybe took an extra lap of fuel there. So everybody around the 13.5 second mark on average for their pit stops.
Two quick things, Charles. Firstly, bless you. And secondly, you bring up a good point talking about the tire management. One thing that these racers will have as a slight benefit is the fact that the track temperatures are not too bad for them. We're currently looking at about 71 Fahrenheit for the track temp, about 67 ambient. So that will help out these racers a lot. But what's going to hurt them is a rough track surface. When this version of Silverstone was scanned, it was old asphalt golly, that was belling and schnackle, nearly forming a pincer movement on one another. That was heading out of bridge into Priory of turn number 14, nearly ended in catastrophe off through the braking zone there. Talking about the track not being hot, the racing's certainly hot out there on the racetrack. These drivers bringing the thunder as we get towards the pit cycle. That's a driver peeling off from second. Neil Kemp comes down pit lane. Is going to leave Fabian Zweyer all by his lonesome, and the rest of the top 5 out there for one more lap. These pit stops are starting to become a bit more commonplace, Charles. We saw them be about as rare as finding a needle in a haystack. Now they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Thompson in as well. I think he was running around P4 in the Challenger class, right outside the top 10, so was having a pretty good run himself. And so he'll bring his car in to get serviced as we're watching these guys in the pits. And we should be done with Neil just any time. There we go, 12.8, so really quick stop in comparison to the rest of the field. And then Matt Thompson coming out with a 13.6, so pretty much right in the median there for Thompson. So it may be one of those that somebody's going to have to take a gamble on fuel and maybe short pit and try and stretch it to the end. But I don't know. This seems like a really long track. Really bad bad chance of taking that short fuel. That's going to be very disastrous should you fail.
Yeah, I want to go through this race without having to award any Thompson trophies. I think that's a feeling that can be shared by all of us here in the broadcast booth. Don't want to have to go through that here tonight, but at the moment, the entirety of your top 18 yet to come into the pits, quickly touching on your class leaders midway through this pit cycle. Fabian Zweyer is your leader at the moment, overall leading in pro. Mark Kona has been your continual leader in the Challenger class. They'll look to try and hold on to that as we get towards the end of this race. And Andy Bell, currently your top running racer in the AM category, has his main rival in class of Joe Cicchetti right behind him in terms of position, but 4.5 seconds down the road. So that may be a battle that could get hot if there's a slight mistake on pit lane, or just a slight mistake period from Andy Bell. But if he can keep it clean and green, that may be his for the taking. As we see another driver come down pit lane, that's David Moore peeling off. He's the number 13 driver coming into the pits, as that was very late call from Brian Kennedy. A close clip of the grass. That may be a pit entry violation. He could pick up a black flag for that, and if he does, that's going to bring that challenger battle down to 2. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, we'll see him coming out of the final corner and just makes that run down and, yeah, cuts across the grass. I did not see a black flag come up, so I'm thinking that's going to be okay. So I think we would have saw the black flag by now for sure. And so I think he got away with that one. But, yeah, very, very aggressive and late pit entry there to save himself as much time as possible as he came into the pits. More and more cars coming in. Kennedy's in. David Finch is in, Brandon Smith is in, Cossack, Besnard, Brooks, Olson, all in the pits.
Yes, a whole smorgasbord of drivers coming down pit lane here at the end of lap 10, start of lap 11. Now I gotta wonder who's coming the next to try and respond. We've already seen 2 breakaways inside your top 5 come into the pits. Will we see the likes of Fabian Zweyer, Andrew Belling? Will we see a Jeff Schnackle, Mark Cohn, and Jay Bast come into the pit lane as well? We'll just have to see. This does have the vibe of a race where everybody's going to be a bit more unified in terms of when they come down pit lane, what sort of pit strategy they try and pull, and especially so considering the nature of this track. As you can see, very odd there. I think a driver took the wrong approach on pit exit there. You can actually rejoin a little bit quicker to my knowledge, but I saw a racer running the lengthy detour on pit exit there. I'll have to look back and try and figure out who that was so we could take a look at a replay maybe once we are done with this race, because we've got too much action out there on the racetrack to break away from this just for a simple pit stop. But let's keep an eye on this as your top 3, top 5, and everybody heads their way through the turn as Jeff Schnackle burning up those rear tires. I can understand why. He's now coming down pit lane. He had about 5 sideways snaps heading out of Luffield alone.
Yeah, it looks like he was, once again, everybody trying to be aggressive on pit entry. Chuck Lobaato's in, Andy Bell is in, and this is really helping out Taylor Blount. He's actually up to he's going to be up to P6 now, 7.5 second gap in front. So he's got clean track. So he's getting the benefit of these cars coming into the pits because he's able to just run clean laps, and he had the fastest lap of the race a little earlier. So he's having himself, I think this is really helping him out. We'll see if it pays off at the end, if he's able to make up enough time, but he's definitely helping him for the time being. He's able to run in clean air for a few extra laps here as we're coming up on the 27-minute mark.
Yeah, 27 minutes down in this race already, and still a lot left to be decided. Drivers yet to come down pit lane throughout a deep chunk of the top runners, as we may end up having a simple off-track mode here for Brandon Smith. Clip the grass on entry, heading down into Stowe of turn number 7. See, I'm so used to the current version of Silverstone. I looked at Stowe being marked as turn number 7. I was like, surely not. But no, surely can't be serious. Yes, I am serious. And stop calling me Shirley.
Yep, exactly right. As back on board was Zweyer. So it's extended his gap out a little bit over Belling by a couple of tenths over the last lap or so. But it's been pretty static. I won't say as he's just setting the world on fire, but he is actually making up a little bit of time as we're coming around here. I got to kind of feel like we're coming up to the end here. We've got about 11 cars yet to pit, and I feel like there's maybe 2 or 3 laps at the most left before these cars are all going to have to come down to pit road, and we may have us a party on the pit road here in very short order. So we see Swayer zone. There we go. Swayer, Cone, Bass, Hosey all coming in at the same time.
Ain't no party like a pit lane party, because a pit lane party is joined by everybody. Belling stays out. Pretty much everybody else coming into pit lane, though. So Zweyer going to come into the pits along with your challenger leader of Mark Cohn. Got to hit your marks beautifully on this pit stop. It looked like Zweyer was maybe a little bit off kilter there. He's definitely sideways, but I think iRacing is going to let him slide with that. Who's going to be the first on exit? Zweyer already running out and away. That was Taylor Ballant hitting his pit pit stall right as Ware was pulling away. Neil Kemp gonna blow his doors off, but not by a lot here, Charles. I was wondering how those two were going to exit out. It worked out pretty all right for them. So Neil Kemp able to jump in front of Fabian Zweyer. Jeff Schnackle right behind. So Zweyer, I think, executed that pit stop not too badly. It's a little bit more time down in the pit stall than he probably had in mind, but he still got a good shot at this.
Yeah, still got a good shot, and we still have, like I said, 2 cars yet to pit, Bailing and Andrus. So they're going to come down probably the next lap, I would guess, as we're kind of riding on board here with Andy Kosick from XSLR fame, one of the admins over there, coming over here running the Mustangs and running in 25th place. He's got about 3.5 seconds to make up to Brandon Carl just ahead. And so he's going to try and move up. That will be for the final podium position in the AM class. So battle not quite over yet there as we're looking on board here as Kemp. We got Andrus, Schnackle, Zweyer, Moore. Let's try this again. Kemp, Andrus, Schnackle, Zweyer, all in a row there, half second or so apart from each other. Bailing still has not pitted yet, so he's going to go 1 extra lap on top of what. Oh, there we go, pitting now. So there we go. So Schnackle's that Schnackle off there, very offline, coming out of that section, and gets it. And we see cars kicking up dirt coming out of that corner as well. So everybody's starting to push the limits of this track here as we're we're going to get a replay here of Schnackle as they're coming through. I believe this is the Luffield and Woodcote. Yeah, just off in the dirt there, running wide out of the corner. That's Bridge. Yep, that's Bridge. And then we're coming down in and was able to get that car collected and hang on to the position. So well done there by Schnackle.
Yeah, so it worked out well for him as he headed his way off through the Abbey chicane as Andrew Belling, in the meantime, has come down pit lane. Neil Kemp well off into the sunset as the battle for the final 2 podium spots gonna get hot as we get towards the end of this race. Jeff Schnackle with that sideways wiggle has been able to hold on to P2 through it all as Fabian Zweyer trying to apply the pressure here in the fight for 3rd. Got to keep an eye on the likes of David Moore. He's right behind. Haven't talked about the driver of the number 13 car too much here tonight, but he's here to fight. If he can get a top 5 spot, that'd be a good result for him. But I think he sniffs a shot at a podium, and if he can get that opportunity, you know that he is going to go for it. Keep an eye right behind on Mark Cohn as well, your current leader in the Challenger category. He's been in the top 10 and in the mix of it all throughout the night, and with the slight misfortune that befell one of his class rivals earlier on of Brian Kennedy, this is looking all right at the moment for Cohn. P6 at the moment. He's got Jay Bast behind him right now, and then another 4 seconds back to Charlie Hosea, currently your P2 runner. Charlie Hosey, pardon me, your current P2 runner in that category. So keeping our eye on that battle in class, but I think it may go the way of Mark Cohn. Certainly looking good for Andy Bell in the AM category as we get towards the end of this race as well. He's running in 10th, right towards the back end of this pack that Charlie Hosey finds himself involved in. You have to go well farther back into that pack that we see right in the back of the camera shot to find Joe Cicchetti, your current 2nd place runner in the AM category, P15 at the moment for the driver of the 211 car. So it's looking good for really all 3 of our class leaders. But in terms of the other good positions of note, it's pretty much everybody's game.
Yeah, pretty much is. You see Cicchetti running wide there. Seems like a pretty standard practice for some of these cars. And you can see the cars are just starting to get a little more loose through the corners. It's like the drivers are having to feather the throttle a little bit more, just trying to put the power down a little easier coming out of these corners. So I think those rear tires are starting to really do some damage to the psyches of our drivers here, as they're having to fight the car as well as the track. As you saw Freddie Weaver there making a move around Michael Brennan, and that is a battle for position, P16, as we see Matt Thompson there running in P10th, and he has Andy Bell just behind in 11th, as he has jumped Bell to kick him out of the top 10. Still Andy having a great run tonight. Again, almost run, just outside the top 10 positions, as Thompson is up to 10th and is running 3rd in the Challenger class.
Yeah, so it's still been a good drive for the other racers, not involved in the battle for the class lead. But we know that Matt Thompson, very quick racer. Doesn't matter what kind of car you put him in, he's always going to be fast. A driver that we talk about really week in and week out here on SMB, not only here in AMS, but also in the Spec Racer for the Weekend Warriors that he can catch on Sundays here on SMB too. He's a quick racer, we know that, and doesn't matter what kind of car you put him in, he is always going to bring the heat, bring the thunder, and give us one heck of a battle to talk about as we go throughout the night, following him into the heavy braking zone of Abbey, turn number 11 and 12. Yeah, I gotta say, Charles, this version of Silverstone, it's one that I didn't get the opportunity really to see. I first got involved and interested in Formula One back in 2014, so I didn't get to see this track get used in my time and watching the races live. However, I've gotten to see enough historical footage, and now getting to see this race as well here in the big old 2026. This track, it can't get recreated, but it still holds up as a fantastic venue for racing.
Yeah, it really does. It is a very, very good track. Once again, like I said, it kind of suits these cars better than the current iteration of Silverstone. We still got a nice battle here with Weaver, Brennan, and David Finch, who has worked his way up to 18th. Probably was not hoping probably was hoping he could get a little bit further up. This as we come our way through into the I'm sorry, this Pops, and they're going to try.
Oh, no.
No.
Come on, boys. 3 wide, heading down into Maggots and Beckett's. They had to back out of that 3 wide race against the Maggots and Beckett's. That is not a good prospect. You can make it work, but you can also liquidate all your assets, buy nothing but lottery tickets, and come out on the other end of it a millionaire. You wouldn't want to do that. The fortune would not be on your side.
No, it would not. The odds are not in your favor there. Trying to take it 3 wide through Maggots and Beckett's. It's a struggle as it is to go 2 wide through there as they make their run down into Stowe. This is Cicchetti running in 14th. He's in the lead of this group with Levi Powell behind. You see Freddie Weaver there in the background as they're looking their way down. And I think this is into... Oh, this is how Cicchetti got Levi, with just a move to the inside there. And just takes it nice and tight through the corner. He's going to switch back on it, but he's got the position, and he's going to be able to get back on the power and hang on to it just barely as they work their way through Woodcote here. And they're still going to be side by side. They will get it straightened out here as we run down into Copse. I think the inside car probably backs out, and he does a little early on the brakes. But still leaves his nose in there, so he's not quite done with that fight yet. But I think the track comes back over to Cicchetti's side, and that's going to help him to complete this pass, and that's exactly what happens. So good bit of driving by both those drivers to keep the fight going as long as they could. But but in the end, Cicchetti was able to hang on to the spot.
Yeah, so Cicchetti has shown a lot of grit here in this race. It's been a tough one for these racers to try and get a grips with, but many of them have been able to tackle this racetrack amazingly well, with a lot of confidence as well. And if you want some confidence behind the wheel of your sim rig, you should probably look at some of the fantastic products over on D-Nut Stuff. Listen, you've got the rig, the screens, and the passion, but when you're diving into the corkscrew Laguna Seca, do your pedals feel like world-class GT3 cars or just a toy? It's time to upgrade your immersion with D-Nut Stuff. We specialize in high-performance sim racing mods designed to give you the trail-breaking precision and throttle control that you've been missing. From our legendary DNX and HVD pedal kits to customized spacers and clutch mods, we build gear for racers who demand more than stock. Whether you're a casual Sunday driver or daily iRacing grinder, our kits for Fanatec, Simpson, and Husingveld pedals are engineered to help you find those extra tenths of a second. Stop settling for good enough and start hitting your marks with total confidence. D-Nut Stuff sim racing gear, serious mods for serious racers. Visit dnutstuff.com and dial your rig in today. We want to thank D-Nut and Cheap Hot for making these broadcasts possible here in the AMS, and because we wouldn't be able to see this awesome racing action if it wasn't for them. Look at that, diving off into the Abbey chicane. This is a bare knuckle fist fight out there on the road. These drivers sensing the opportunity as the time is running out here in this race, going side by side and throwing haymakers at each other everywhere. It doesn't matter where they are on the racetrack, they're going for it at every single opportunity. Look at this here, Charles, as we come to take a white. It is everybody's win for the taking.
Yeah, it really is. He's on board there with Swayer, as you see the leader, Neil Kemp, and this should be the white flag. He's going the final lap. There is Barney flipping that flag around, and here comes the rest of this group, led by Schnackle, Belling, Moore, and Swayer, Jay Bass, Mark Cohn in there as well. So a big fight there for who's going to get the final two positions on this podium tonight.
Yeah, I said it was for the win. It's going to feel like a win considering how far in front Neil Kemp is. But right now, these drivers battling for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Still good points, though, as that's a huge miss there. Schnackle overshooting the runoff into Maggots and Beckett's. And that's just going to allow the racers to blow his doors off. Jumping up into P2 is Andrew Belling. He's got to look to try and drive away from the pack. Let's take a look to see what happened here. The Schnack machine heading his way off into the turn, just overshot it. I wonder if there's a bit of a lockup there. You can see those brake rotors glowing on that FR500 Mustang. Schnackle overshooting the turn big time. He's fallen off into the crutches of the likes of David Moore, Fabian Swayer, and Jay Bass, who are still duking it out. Look at Swayer and Bass side by side as they head their way off in through the club chicane for the final time here in this race. Who's going to win out in that battle? You can give it at the apex to Fabian Swayer. I think he'll be able to get it done as they head their way off through club. You got to keep an eye on Mark Cohn as well, your current leader and challenger. Not feeling any pressure in terms of that class lead, so he can maybe try and get some moves done here as we get into the final sector. But for this man, Neil Kemp, in the number 99 car, we haven't talked about him too much at the end of this race, and that's probably a good thing. He's been collected up at the front. We haven't had to talk about him for a very good reason. He's been leading. He's been dominant. He has been comfortable ever since that round of pit stops that he expertly crafted. Went through the strategy like a dream. Neil Kemp about to grab his first win of this season here in Season 10 of the American Muscle Series as that number 99 car heads his way around the final two turns. Neil Kemp gonna grab the checkered flag here at Silverstone to score his first win of the season. There's a win for Neil Kemp. He'll be victorious, but who's gonna win out in that battle right behind? I think he can give it to Andrew Belling and Jeff Schnackle as David Moore, Fabian Swayer, and Jay Bass were caught up in each other's tails to really try and apply some pressure as Taylor Ballant was just barely able to jump in front of Charlie Hosey as they came towards the stripe. A tenth of a second, a little bit over that being the gap between those two as we got towards the end. Mark Cohn, your winner and challenger, should let you know about that, and Andy Bell, your winner in the AM class. But even the racers that started off this race on a sour note, like Ballant, for instance, who started from the pole, going from the back of the pack at the end of the first lap, all the way up to 8th by the checkered, even with the pit stop, that is a mightily impressive run. And here's how we got that final result.
Yeah, a little spin there. That's the Labano around. I believe he gets it saved, but that's the position that's that Ballant and both Ballant and Hosey gets, but Ballant just outraces him down to the start-finish line to pick up P8, and that was a great recovery drive from our pole sitter tonight with the early turn one spin, able to recover himself back up to P8, and that's going to help his championship position for sure. You see there's the spin on the of Labano there, able to get the car recovered, but allows Hosey as around, as well as Andy Bell to pick up P10. So our amateur class victor getting back in the top 10 there in the final stretch to get a nice top 10 result and the amateur class victory.
Yeah, works out brilliantly for him. He's going to get that result. That's now 4 wins in a row for Andy Bell in your AM category as we take a look at a replay to see some of the last lap sights. That was Mark Cohn, your winner in the Challenger class when it was all done with here. This is actually on cool down lap, pardon me. These racers having a celebratory victory lap at the end of a thriller of a race. We gotta say, I wasn't sure what we were going to see heading into this race, Charles. I'll be completely honest, but we were definitely treated to something special.
Yeah, it was a really good race. Obviously, as what happens a lot of times is you get a little breakup in the front of the field due to the pit stops, and Neil Kemp with an early pit does himself a world of favor there by taking that early pit stop. Is able to make up some time and then have enough of a gap after the pits are done that nobody was able to challenge him, as we get a little get some 11s coming down the front straight there from Mark Cohn. Yeah, so having a nice little couple of stripes headed down there, and so good result from Cohn, finishing in P7 and getting the Challenger Class victory. So it's great bit of racing tonight, and really fun to actually get back on an older racetrack and get to battle here. I think I may have ran this track once, and that might have been 4 years ago. So it was good to get back in touch with some old school racing there, and a good bit of racing tonight by all of our drivers. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, certainly a heck of a lot of fun as we see Mark Cohn burn it down on that start-finish stretch. He's always quite hyped whenever he gets a win in class. So we'll get to have a chat with some of these racers momentarily. For now, though, let's take a quick little look at your race results here for round number 11 of the American Muscle Series here in Season 10. We're getting to the end of this campaign. Only one more race left to go, that being at the Nürburgring next time out. We hope to see you all there for that. But here are your results. Neil Kemp is going to be your race winner. He gets the job done over Andrew Belling. A 6-second gap at the end of this race. It doesn't really tell the full story of what was a fantastically competitive, action-packed race. Jeff Schnackle, he was up and down that top pack like Otis Elevator. He ends up directly in the middle of your top 5, rounding out your podium in 3rd. David Moore will finish right behind him in P4. He'll be in front of Fabian Zweyer in 5th. Jay Bast will be classed in P6 when that's all said and done. Mark Cohn will be in P7, winning in the Challenger class. Taylor Ballant, who certainly had a challenge, ends up in 9th. Taylor Ballant in P8. Charlie Hosey in 9th. I think I may have had those in the wrong order there. First go of things, and Andy Bell rounds out your top 10, grabbing the AM win in the process.
Yep, Chuck Romano will finish in P11. Ron Wolf in 12th. Joe Cicchetti, P2 in the AM class, finishing in 13th. Levi Powell getting the final step on that Challenger podium in 14th. Matt Thompson, 15th. Freddie Weaver, 16th. Michael Brennan, 17th. David Finch finishes in 18th. Not quite as good of a recovery as Ballant, but still managed to get back about halfway through the field. Aaron Bray finishes in 19th. Brandon Smith, 20th. Mike Nickham finishes in 21st. Jeff Andrus, 22nd. Ed Santinelli in 23rd. Brandon Carl, I believe, is the final step on the AM podium. Or is he? Yep, I think that's right. In 24th. Andy Cossack, 25th. Dave Blair, 26th. Brian Kennedy, 27th. Scott Brooks finishes in 28th. Jeff Besnard finishes in 29th. Colin Olson finishes in 30th. Tom Witt finishes in 31st. Merle Ishman in 32nd. John Casey in 33rd. And David Fernandez rounds out our 34-car finishing order.
Yeah, so those are your results for round number 11 of this season. Let's move off into the interviews. I think these drivers are itching to have a chat with us, and let's start it off here by having a chat with our race winner of Neil Kemp. First time that he's visited victory lane here this season. Neil, welcome into the broadcast booth, man. Congratulations on the win here at Silverstone. How was it out there, my friend?
Oh my gosh, it was pretty dicey there in the first half of the race. Hey, I've never been in here before. This is a pretty cool room. I didn't know you guys had a keg. That's cool.
Yeah. If you hear some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth midway through some of these shows, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was very little slicker than I've liked it. I felt like in practice I was more grippy, but that could have been the nerves, playing with me. But yeah, it was, Schnackel was right on my rear end, keeping pressure on me, and Fabian was doing an excellent job in front. So as I couldn't pass him, so I had to do the undercut, and it ended up working out pretty good.
Yeah, worked out fantastically for you to get your first win here this season. How does it feel to bag that first win?
I don't think I've totally realized it yet. It's been such a long time coming. I've been in this league for quite a while and worked my way up, but this is the first win, and it feels pretty darn good, I must say.
Yeah, and to do it by 6 seconds as well, gotta feel special. Acing that pitch strategy, coping with the challenge of a track that was a bit of a venture off into the unknown for all of us, both you drivers and us broadcasters. It was a tough nut to crack here, but we've got probably the toughest nut of all next time out, the Nordschleife, to round this season 10 of American Muscle Series action off. What are your thoughts heading there?
Well, my thoughts are it's going to be fantastic. It's one of my favorite tracks. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it due to family stuff, unfortunately, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll race it again next season or something like that. I don't know, but I'm kind of bummed to miss it, but that's the way it goes.
See, the way that you can look at this deal is that you end your season potentially with that visit into victory lane. That's a pretty good way to round things off.
It's perfect. It's perfect, really. Maybe that's why I won, because I knew it was my last chance at it this season.
Oh, there we go, man. But Neil, before we let you go and truly celebrate and let this win sink in, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Of course, our league admin, Ed Sancinelli and Mike Neekum, and of course, D-Nut stuff, and the Chiba Hut, of course, and all the great racers I get to compete with every week that keep bringing me back here, and of course your awesome commentary as well, and not forget my wife who puts up with me doing this fun stuff.
Yeah, well, there we go, man. Happy spouse, happy house, happy wife, happy life. Neil, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the win, and we will see you hopefully for the start of season 11.
Thanks so much. You guys take care.
You as well. That right there was Neil Kemp, our race winner here tonight. Charles, I'll pass the mic off to you to have a chat with a very likely jubilant Mark Cohn.
Yeah, let's bring Mark in here and we'll have a chat with him. Mark, congratulations on the Challenger class victory tonight. P7 overall, and you were pretty consistently in the top 10 the entire night. But you weren't alone. You had a couple of guys back there, Levi Powell and Charlie Hosey, Matt Thompson, kind of hanging around as well. So it made the racing very difficult tonight.
Yeah, no, honestly, I was just glad to be back out to begin with. I hadn't really raced anything for a month because I got really, really sick. So this was actually my first race back, period, and damn close to a month. So this is kind of almost a Cinderella thing for me. I can't believe it.
But, well, just to, since you said that, we'll say welcome back and glad you're feeling better, able to get back in the rig. And, so talk about this track, obviously an old scan of Silverstone, and kind of threw a little bit of a question mark out there as far as how your guys were going to be able to race it tonight.
Yeah, no, for me, I hadn't driven this I don't think I'd driven this track in iRacing per se, but I actually grew up watching the British Touring Car Championship, which ran this layout a lot. And I probably have watched every season review from 1988 to at least 2001, if not more than that. So this track, this layout was on there constantly. So I would say that definitely didn't hurt. And so that it just kind of came to me like butter, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week's season finale, double points race at the Nordschleife. So how are you feeling about that one?
Oh boy. I'll admit, when I was growing up, I probably did like thousands of laps of it in like Forza Motorsports 2,
Yep.
R Factor, and other games, Sims. However, on iRacing, it's on another level. And with double points, this race, you're going to have to survive. And I'm going to do my best to, but it won't be easy. Especially, I think we're running the combined layout. So it'll be something. I love the challenge, but it's also very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, for sure. It absolutely is. Well, Mark, congratulations on the class victory tonight. And we'll let you give you a chance to give any thanks before we let you go.
Thank you, guys. Sim Gaming Expo, it's happening in September in Chicago. Be there. I went last year. It was the time of my life. Highly, highly recommend it. Frito Sport, everyone that's on there that makes everything possible. I probably wouldn't have won this race without one of Magic Matt Thompson's setups. So him, Ed, everyone on the team, I love you all. Thank you guys for what you do. All you guys at Slow Motion Broadcasting, I love watching these broadcasts back. Josh, all you guys, thank you. These are fantastic. Thank you. Nizumi Studios, SimLab, Sam Maxwell Customs. I'm sure there's some people that I'm forgetting, but just thank you everyone for that makes this possible. Also, Chiba had the sponsors, American Muscle Series, and all the organizers. This league is incredible. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Mark, for the kind words, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. See you guys then. Thank you.
And that was Mark Cohn, our Challenger class winner tonight. And we've got maybe a couple minutes for one more. Josh, we'll make it quick.
Yeah, I think we'll have a quick little chat here with Andy Bell joining us here in the broadcast booth. Now, Andy, welcome in. Congratulations on your now 4th win in a row in the AM category. How was it out there?
Oh, it was good times. Fortunately, got a qualifying ahead of Joe, and then was able to follow Chuck and Matt, and just keep it clean. And it was a good time because I don't really like Silverstone, but put some time in this week and squeaked one over Joe.
They're able to keep it clean and keep it green out there on the racetrack. And speaking of green, we're going to be at the Green Hell, the Nordschleife, to round off this season. That was an unintentional segue, but I'll take the credit for it regardless. What are your thoughts heading there?
I love driving there. I'm not sure I enjoy racing there, but I'm going to have a great time regardless. Looking forward to it, and with the battle between Joe and I think that race is going to determine the winner, so should be a good time.
Yeah, and certainly looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack for that. But Andy, before we let you go and celebrate your 4th win in a row, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, I'll shout out friends and family who continue to watch the stream and encourage me. Really appreciate it. Thanks to Slow Motion Broadcasting and you guys for putting that stream on so they can watch it. Otherwise, really appreciate everyone making the league happen. Quite a few people, whether it's Ed, Mike, Aaron. Yeah, it's a team effort, and glad everyone shows up and makes it happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, for my 2nd week covering this series, it has been absolutely awesome. And you've been able to bring the thunder out there on the racetrack, too. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you for that season finale next time out.
Thank you.
And that right there was Andy Bell, our AM class winner. Well, folks, that'll just about do it for the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But stay tuned. Coming up a little bit later on tonight, he says later on tonight, it's actually going on right now, the broadcast of round number 4 of the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Championship. That'll be at Winton down there in Australia. A lot of racing action to look forward to here on SMB. Week in, week out, gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But as to this broadcast here tonight for round number 11 of the American Muscle Series Season 10 here at the old version of Silverstone in the flashback from the past, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Joshua Wilkie working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.